I want to thank the council for being here. My name is Desirae Walz, Desirae Walz. I am not someone who has experienced conversion therapy, but as a gay woman and as someone who grew up in an extremely conservative religious household, I have definitely experienced shame around my sexuality. Growing up, I knew I was gay, but I remained in the closet out of fear that if I came out, that my father and my stepmother found out that I was gay, that I would end up in conversion therapy. This was a threat in my Southern Baptist home and in our church that I was very aware of. I struggled with mental health concerns for my entire childhood and young adulthood. I had depression and anxiety, suicidal thoughts, and self-harm for the majority of my life. I remember being as young as 7 years old and praying that God would just kill me because that would be easier than going through the shame that I was going through. Now, I ended up spending time as a state ward in the state of Nebraska, and I was in residential treatment centers due to suicidal thoughts and self-harm. All of this was due to hiding shame because by the standards of my father and my church community, I was not worthy of love, belonging, or quite honestly, existing. This fear followed me throughout the majority of my life, right up until I was involved in a church here in Lincoln, one that many people have heard of at this point in time, working as an administrative assistant. And then upon coming out and leaving the church a year and a half ago, I had many members come to me in condemnation, as well as one person who I cared for a great deal try to guilt me into doing conversion therapy, which she herself was trained in, although she is not a licensed professional. I was an adult by this time. I just turned 29 a few weeks ago, so I was 26 at this time. And I was allowed to say no because I had no one in my life telling me I had to say yes. But I did have to leave my job that I loved and leave my church. I often fear for the children and the teenagers who are in some of those same types of settings that I was in. Thankfully, mine were run by the state, and so this not scientific practice was never in those facilities. The LGBT youth experience mental health concerns, suicidal thinking, self-harm, and eating disorders at far higher rates than the general population, purely because we refuse as a society to accept them openly. For myself, it has taken years of real mental health counseling to get to a point to where I have stability in my life and that I am thriving. But conversion therapy is not mental health treatment. It is abusive, and we know this because the science that everyone else has quoted to you proves it. I urge the members of this council to look at this important measure of youth mental health protections and do exactly what it says. Protect the mental health of our youth. Protect the next generation from the hatred of homophobia and to prioritize mental wellness over religious indoctrination. Being LGBT is not a mental illness. It is just a part of who we are. It does not need to be changed. So I ask you to please think of this as you make this decision tonight so that no child in Lincoln has to live with the shame and fear that I myself did. Thank you.
Thank you, Desirae.